Hurd, your campus dietitian, and I'm here to introduce our food play, virtual food play. As you recall, we were supposed to do food play live last spring, and instead we're bringing it to you virtually. So Chef Brian is going to demo how to make crepes. We'll talk about breakfast, and online are some PDFs with recipes, as well as some tips on getting a good breakfast. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Chef Brian.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Murphy. I'm the catering chef here at Moravian. Today I'm going to be working with you on the Lunch and Learn, and we're going to be making some crepes. So I'm going to start today with crepe batter. This batter is very versatile. So this is actually a 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. The recipe will not change whatsoever. You'll just use normal flour if you're making one that's not gluten-free. This does have eggs, and it also has dairy in it as well. So you start with 4 eggs, whole eggs. And the trick with this flour is to get it the trick with this batter is to get it as smooth as possible. So you start by whipping your eggs, add a little salt to it, and add a portion of your milk. Once you add that combination, you're going to add the remainder of your flour and slowly incorporate that in. This will enable you to kind of beat out some of the lumps before they become stuck in the actual batter. Then as you continue to gradually add that in, you're going to whip a little faster and faster. It's going to become a very, very thin batter. And I'm only showing you this is the traditional way to make a crepe batter. The simplest way is to use a blender. There's no technique in using a blender. You put all of these ingredients in, put it on a high speed. It's smooth, it's silky, and it's much easier to use. I don't know if you can actually see this. But it's not difficult. There's no real technique to it at all. Nice and smooth. One other thing to consider when you're making a crepe is the size of the pan that you use. I recommend a non-stick pan, and I also recommend a 10-inch. An 8-inch or a 6-inch will work, but you need to adjust the size of the ladle that you use. In the case of the 10-inch pan, I use a 2-ounce ladle full of each batter. I would recommend a 1.5-inch for the 8 and 1 ounce also for the 6-inch pan. Once your pan is at a medium heat, make sure you spray it very well. Pan coating or butter. 1 ladle of the batter. Dump it in right away and roll it around until it's evenly distributed in the pan. It'll come up on the sides of the edges of the pan. Let it sit for about 30 seconds or until you see the color start to change around the thin edges. Once it begins to brown, slightly flip it up all the way around and continue to do that all the way. You'll almost slide that spoon right underneath the edge and continue to go around until you're able to lift the entire crepe and flip it. After that, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, you're good to take that out. This is a great example of a really versatile lunch or brunch type crepe. to start with caramel apple, which I like to use a little bit of butter and brown sugar to make the sauce in the pan. So you start by sauteing your apples. And have a little bit of the apple juice in there as well. A little brown sugar. Some cinnamon. Alcohol is always nice. Apple brandy or just brandy alone. If you ever use brandy, you want to take the pan away from the flame, add it, and then return it. You might get a slight flash. Move this around. While that's cooking, you take your warm crepe. I'm going to fold these into groups. I suggest 2 or 3. So the next one is a fruit combo. So it's a combination of raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, and cranberries. Has a little bit of orange juice in there, sugar, and the thickening we used cornstarch. However, you don't necessarily need anything to thicken it. The cranberries themselves have pectin in them, and if you cook it long enough, it'll become nice and thick from the sugar. You don't want your product to be boiling when you add it, just at a slight simmer. Turn your heat off. This one. Fold these in. Same again. A little whipped cream, maybe a lot. And a little bit of powdered sugar if I can find it. Here it is.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our modified food play on breakfast and crepes. Chef, any last thoughts?
Absolutely. Be creative. You can use your leftovers. There's just so many things you can do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with those.
So we'll love to hear from you. We had a lot of fun doing this today. If you have some ideas for future programming, please let DOR know in Human Resources. And thank you for joining us.